Good morning. So today I wanted to start off by sharing some sculptures I made some time ago, and then I'll get into a subject that I wanted to touch upon today. So here they are. So I'm fascinated with skulls, always have been, always will be. And I started casting these about a decade ago, maybe a little bit less. I haven't done one for a while. I've got about 12 or 15 of these. Composite pieces that I basically take objects and cast them into the mold with the molten pewter. Now, sometimes I'll portion cast and then put the mold together and cast it again. Like, for instance, I may have done that with the ones that are the one that has all the vertebra on its left side, which would be your right. And it's coming back around now. So I'll cast that in one half of the mold and then put the mold back together and cast a full piece with that one already completed. That's my sense of it. Because some of these, they have to be prepped. Otherwise, the pewter will cover up. I'll have a longer presentation of these pieces on my art only channel. I consider them sacred objects, and not because there's a particular definition that I've given them, but more that since they don't have that specific sort of inserted meaning, they're receptacles for whatever the viewer feels is sacred. And sometimes they impart information as well. So it's a two-way street. They measure about 3.5, 4 inches tall and about 5 inches deep. And the mold was pulled from a crystal skull that I have. And I've done numerous, like I said, about 12 or 15 casts from the same mold. So the silicone is very resilient. Sometimes I'll go in and stamp patterns into the sculpture with steel stamps and a little ball peen hammer. I believe I did that on the teeth of one of these. Lots of crystals and seashells, found objects. with the Madonna piece, there's a muskrat skull embedded in the pewter as well, which I later dug out with a Dremel tool and various implements just to reveal more of it, and then honed and refined the edges. So I'm going to switch back over. Thank you for taking the time to look at these. These are available. You're welcome to private message me here on YouTube or via my website, which is down in the description. Okay, here we go. So Tuesday morning, May 12th, and I just want to document something, not that all these videos are documentations of sorts for me. I saw a 60-minute interview with Netanyahu last night and was deeply disappointed and at the same time not surprised, considering that 60 Minutes is owned by basically AIPAC as an umbrella and propaganda control mechanism. Throughout the entire interview, there was no pushback on the lies that Netanyahu was expounding upon. And that you can expound upon a lie is a kind of advanced proof that there's a whole system of professional liars that prop up Israel's facade, which I feel ultimately due to independent journalists and real news agencies, particularly those that are not bought by AIPAC and corporations that support Israel's ethno-state since the beginning. They're not obliged to toe the line. And Al Jazeera is a good one. The Electronic Intifada, Democracy Now!, Double Down News. There's many out there on YouTube and elsewhere, of course. So it's going to be a somewhat of a short video this morning. Just that's what I'm feeling. And I want to put out there that lies nowadays, it seems like lying is acceptable, and that it's like a kind of an alternative reality that people, even if they know it's a lie, they accept it because there's no pushback. And I wonder sometimes what that's doing internally to the mass populace when your integrity and your dignity won't stand up and push back and speak the truth. That when we don't hold people accountable, including our friends, and we know we should, something deep down inside of us knows that there's a kind of innate responsibility to follow up on feelings and intuitions and things that move us, things that kind of get our heart racing a little faster, because it's pushed a real button in us. And I don't mean like a reactionary button, but a button that is normal, that's natural, that's part of human nature. If you want to call it nature, I think it's a little more paranormal than nature, to have feelings and a sense of injustice and a sense of duty, honor. These aspects are somewhat magical in my mind, and not like day-to-day pragmatic things that have to happen in order for biological survival to keep going forwards. So when you don't follow up on these intuitions, when you don't honor your honor, it does something. I can't specify exactly what, but it has an evolution, and it doesn't just affect and then go away. There's something going on, like a disease or a slow activating or a slow active cancer of sorts. So journalists, it seems to me that going forward, we need to have some real neutral body that holds professionals accountable, because they are public servants and they do have an effect on people. Spreading lies, allowing lies to generate and stay outside the vehicle from which they came. There's a real disservice and criminal enterprise occurring there. And it seems that these state media outlets have no checkpoint, or let's say, Fox News was taken to court and lost revenue. At the same time, when a speaker in an interview is lying, and they're lying about facts that the reporter understands because it's their genre, it's kind of like lying to a farmer about the amount of fertilizer he should be using. He's not going to, if he allows that to happen and lets it go out into the rest of the community, then both parties are culpable, because based on the farmer's own knowledge, he knew that it was a lie. So there's enabling going on, and it is costing human lives in Gaza, Lebanon, Iran. And it's blatant. I mean, back in, say, Reagan's time, or even further back, lies were couched in ambiguity and semantics, and sometimes just simply not reporting on it at all. But these days, lies are a form of alternative reality. it's it's not enough to say, oh, it has to stop. It's more of it's an ailment of perhaps of a culture that has lost something. So the lies are filling in voids. And you might even say that if a truth is lost, then a lie fills its place. I would go deeper, and I would say that personal dignity and personal accountability and adulthood and a certain level of maturity is either lost or suppressed, or there's something about society that does not instigate those characteristics to be developed in its children. And an attention span is most likely a lateral influence as well. So it's sort of a pithy situation as far as all the different connective tissue pieces, parts that make this thing function. So I just want to put it out there that try to reason and think deeply about flippant things that surface at the front of your mind that could just come out and be that reactionary response. Hold it back for 30 seconds and take a look at the nature of it. Ask it questions and see if there's anything there that merits your dignity, your honor, your sense of self, your sense of what's fair. And if there's a way to reword a reactionary impulse into a response. Because ultimately, change is going to start at the individual level and then multiply outwards. So I'm I'm advocating for individuals. I feel like the only thing really worth saving is your mind. Everything else is peripheral. There's something to be said to the fact that all the organs, the liver, everyone below the chin, their main job is to supply the brain with the freshest, cleanest blood possible. And inside the brain is a sentient being, your mind. Now, what the mind is when it's not in the filing cabinet room is another day's discussion. But you can either be used by your emotions or learn to be mindful of them and to sit down and have a conversation. Not that all emotions are to be avoided or wrong in simply being pure emotion. Just that many of them get confused and entangled in issues and pronunciations that don't clarify anything, that just make things worse. And sometimes making things worse is exactly the person's need. So there is that. So I think that's it for today, or at least this morning. Compassion, dignity, these go out to those suffering from a victimizer regime, Israel and the U.S. State Department and the G7. Gaza, Lebanon, Iran. These are the victims of a deeply malignant pathology that has been going on for a long time. So keep them in mind and heart. Study, research America's history, the CIA's history, and how the CIA was formed, what it was initially used for, and still is. Mossad as well, MI6. Just to be informed, not necessarily to go out and preach the word, but just to be informed in case these things do concern you or that you're curious about them. It's better to be an educated complainer, in my opinion, than someone who knows something's wrong but doesn't know what. And knowledge will change you for the better. It's some heavy things to carry, but if it's sincere and if it's what you want, then you'll carry it with dignity and purpose. And that's the way it's meant to be. That's how dignity is born. It's not born from easy tasks, easy loads. I wish you all the best. Thank you for supporting the channel. Please like and subscribe, and pardon my phone. Feel free to reach out, comment, and I wish you a good rest of the week.